I'm Joe Duffy, CEO of both PicksDepot.com and OffshoreInsiders.com. Now, for those of you, there's no reason to get confused. If you've been a client of OffshoreInsiders.com all along, we're not going anywhere. Stay there. If you haven't gotten picks from us yet, why don't you check Picks Depot if you're based in the U.S.? That's more about our U.S. Based clients. And, of course, our international clients, OffshoreInsiders.com is the place to visit. And I have been absolutely sizzling, to say the least, on OffshoreInsiders.com and Picks Depot. Joe Duffy's picks, 16-6 football run off a 9-4 week in the NFL. If you're watching this on Thursday, we got Thursday night football, you got Friday, all the way Thursday through Sunday. And this is going to be about the Sunday games, but Thursday through Sunday, I am just unloading. It's the biggest week of the year so far. And get our picks at PicksDepot.com. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at PicksDepot. First thing we're going to take a look at this week would be the best teams to bet on based on the margin of cover. Or in recent years, I know people like to call it the sweat barometer. It is how much a team does or does not cover the spread by, which is a little more accurate than a deceptive spread record where maybe a team could be 3-1, but they covered the 3 games by a combined 2.5 points, and their one at non-cover, they failed to cover by, say, like 10. So the best teams to bet on this year so far have been the Saints. They do have a 2-1 record, but they're covering by an average of 11.5 points per game. Buffalo at 2-1, covering by an average of 11 points. 3 teams are 3-0, Carolina, Denver, and Dallas. Carolina and Denver each covering by 10.2. Dallas by 10 points per game. Now, the best teams to bet against so far this year. The Atlanta Falcons are 1-2, failing to cover by an average of 11.3 points per game as they did sneak it in against the Giants last week. The Jets are 0-3, minus 10.2, which kind of, at least as far as I would apply it, does kind of show the so-called Ewing theory isn't applying here because the Jets got rid of their overrated Sam Darnold, but they're still struggling, failing to cover by an average of 10.2. Jacksonville, also 0-3, by minus 9.2 points per game. Top over teams, maybe not a surprise, but maybe it's a surprise that that's not a surprise, because, normally the teams that are expected to be low scoring tend to be pretty good over teams. Tampa, they're still involved in high-scoring games, going over all 3 by an average of 10.5 points per game. Washington and Kansas City each have gone over 2-1 by 9 and 7.8, respectively. We've seen some more under teams. The Jets, Carolina, Chargers, New England, and New Orleans all have gone under all 3. The Jets by 13.2, Carolina by 11.3 points per game, Chargers by 9.5, New England by 8.2 points per game, and New Orleans by 7.5 points per contest. All right, now, why don't we take a look at some of our ATS trends for you. And again, all these records are against the spread. And let's see, did I get something? There we go. All these records are against the spread. Unless maybe I do. No, I don't think I'm going to have any over-under trends for you. Indianapolis and Miami for Week 4 in the NFL. Indianapolis is 15-5 on the road versus teams with a losing home record. The Colts are 1-4 to the AFC. Miami, meanwhile, though, 8-0 at home versus teams with a losing road record. 11-1 after allowing more than 30 points in their previous contest. 12-2 following a straight-up loss, and 9-2 after allowing more than 250 passing yards in their previous contest. I'm also going to have the top contrarian plays, who the public is betting on this week, and the biggest line moves in the NFL coming up. Houston and Buffalo. Houston is 6-1 after scoring less than 15 points in their previous contest, but they're 6-14 on the road versus a team with a winning home record. Meanwhile, the Bills are 8-1 after scoring more than 30 points in their previous contest, 8-3 following a spread win. Carolina and Dallas, one of the more exciting matchups of the week. And again, Joe Duffy's picks with a bunch of plays in the NFL for Sunday at picksdepot.com or offshoreinsiders.com. Carolina and Dallas, the Panthers have covered 8 consecutive road games. They're 9-2 as road underdogs. The Dallas Cowboys are 23-47 as a home favorite. 4-11 against teams with a winning record. 1-8 after scoring more than 30 points in their previous contest. Tennessee and the New York Jets. The Tits are 6-20 on the road versus a team with a losing home record. The Jets are 4-10 after scoring less than 15 points in their previous game. Remember, I told you I do have some neuropathic itching or whatever, so make sure you bet with your friends how many times I'm going to scratch my head. Hopefully that's all I will scratch. Or scratch, G-rated body parts before this video is out, or take a drink each time I do it. Cleveland and Minnesota, the Browns are 7-1 after getting more than 150 yards rushing in their last contest, but 16-38 after getting more than 350 total yards in the previous game. 2-9 after allowing less than 15 points in their last contest. Minnesota 1-7 on field turf, but 19-6 as home underdogs. Yes, we've lived long enough to see the Cleveland Browns as a road favorite against a quality team. Detroit and Chicago, the Lions are 3-8 as road underdogs, 3-15 after allowing more than 250 passing yards in their previous game. Again, make sure you do follow me at Picks Depot on Twitter. Chicago 4-11 as a favorite. The New York Giants and New Orleans. The Giants are 20-7 on the road. New Orleans, on the other hand, 26-10 versus teams with a losing record. And no, there's frankly, you don't necessarily have to follow me at both Offshore Insider and Picks Depot. A lot of the same information, but like we said, if you're onshore, if you're in the U.S., Picks Depot is really aimed at you. Offshore at offshoreinsiders.com. Arizona is going to be taking on the Los Angeles Rams. Arizona 9-3 is a road underdog. That's 2. The Cardinals are 2-7 overall, 0-5 against teams with a winning record. Are the Rams improved? 23-8 versus the NFC, 8-3 after accumulating more than 350 total yards in their previous contest. Seattle and San Fran. Seattle is 9-3 as a road underdog. They are 1-6 though to the NFC and 1-7 on the road overall. 49ers are 10-26-1 as a favorite. 5-21-1 as a home favorite. Another one of the better games, but as you know, sometimes the best games to watch aren't really the best games to bet. Master Lockline has been winning for you since 1980 on the score phones, the old 976 lock numbers. Highest rated plays and the highest rated services in their highest rated sports on the Master Lockline at offshoreinsiders.com and picksdepot.com, either or. Baltimore and Denver. Ravens 33-14 on the road versus teams with a winning home record. Denver 10-4 to the AFC. Pittsburgh and Green Bay. Pittsburgh 24-8-2 as an underdog. Steelers 2-6 following a straight-up loss. Green Bay is 0-4 after accumulating more than 250 yards passing in their last contest. Tampa Bay and the New England Patriots. I think a lot of people will be watching this game with interest. This is Sunday night game, right? Buccaneers 5-0 following a spread loss. Buccaneers are 7-1 after allowing less than 90 yards rushing in the previous game. We're going to have big news on this game in a moment, by the way. Patriots are 9-2 as home underdogs. Did I say I was going to have big news for you? Now let's go with who is the public betting. Again, contrarian bettors would say to bet against these. First, we're going to do the number of bets, where, again, a $5 better counts the same as a $5,000 better, but many contrarian bettors say that's very good. If anything, it's the small bettors, the tiny bettors that they want to fade. Tampa Bay this is staggering this close to game time, and there are quite a few tickets written on this game. In fact, it's one of the most bet games this week. Shockingly, 94% of bets are on Tampa Bay. That is enormously high in the NFL. Green Bay, and of course they're playing New England, as we said. Green Bay, 82% of the bets against Pittsburgh. Then back to the normal road favorites. Ravens got 80% of the tickets, although this game is actually switched depending on where you bet. Baltimore was a road favorite to start, but 80% of the bets are on the Baltimore Ravens. Now we'll take a look in terms of money. Again, Tampa Bay is the biggest money game. The biggest sportsbook liability is on Tampa Bay. And as I said, I do know some people say contrarian information. They want to bet on the teams that the sportsbooks are rooting for. Therefore, they like to kind of fade the money. And the theory there would be to bet on New England going against the public money. And the Ravens would be the number 2 team this week in terms of money bet. All right, the biggest line moves. The Atlanta Falcons open up as a 1-point favorite to Washington. They're now 1.5-point underdogs. Kansas City open as 5.5-point favorites to Philadelphia. They're up to 7. That's significant because, again, 7 is a key number. The most key number. 3, 7, and 10. Some people would say a 6 is a key number, but when a game moves off or on 7, that is much more significant than if a game moves from like 3.5 to 6.5 even. And also when a game moves off or on 3, sharp gamblers take note. The Rams, maybe a little bit of a surprise, as games are usually bet up, but the Rams open up as a 6-point favorite to Arizona, now down to a 4.5-point favorite. And New England and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay opened up as a 5.5-point favorite, but that game is all the way now up to 7. But again, that moved on a key number. So that is definitely a significant line move. All right, for the best picks in the world, make sure you visit us at offshoreinsiders.com or Picks Depot. They are the same picks. If you're U.S. and new, why don't you go to Picks Depot, offshoreinsiders.com. We've been winning there forever. Stevie Vincent, Master Lockline, which has been winning for longer than forever almost, since 1980 on the score phones. And definitely follow us on Twitter, if you're not already doing that, at Picks Depot. And oh yes, and of course, please give us a like, share, comment. If you ask a question on YouTube, I get a lot of questions, or on Twitter, get a lot of questions about strategy, especially more so on Twitter, and we'll be more than happy to answer any question about strategy or whatnot. If you have questions about the site, it's really best to visit the FAQ on our sites. That answers just about every question we've ever had, but you can contact our customer service if there's an unanswered question there. Like I said, visit us, Picks Depot, and at Picks Depot on Twitter.